Hi, everybody. I just created a short little series of videos in order to explain to you the different types of sentences that there are that you can use in your writing in order to make your writing more interesting and dynamic and create certain effects. So, we're going to start at the beginning with simple sentences, and I'll explain that in today's video. But then we'll move on to compound sentences, complex sentences, and finally compound complex sentences. And these are the types of sentences that you'll be using in your Antigone English portion of your Greece unit test. So let's make sure that you get the concepts down pat and you know and feel comfortable creating sentences in these different forms. So the first type of sentence that is the simplest form is called conveniently the simple sentence. Okay, the simple sentence has two components. Okay, it must have a subject and verb in order to make it a full sentence and not a sentence fragment, but it also has to express, a complete thought. Okay, so for instance, subject and verb, I could technically say dog walked, but it's not really a complete sentence. It doesn't, while technically it has a subject and verb, it doesn't express a complete thought in the way that even just adding the dog walked makes it a more complete thought. Okay, so let's use a few examples in order to really understand what a simple sentence is. So, as I said before, a simple sentence is a subject and a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. Those are the two components that it needs to have, okay? So let's remind ourselves about what those things are. A verb is an action or a state of being. It's like what is happening in the sentence, okay? The verb is kind of like the easiest thing to find in a sentence, and then the easiest way to, it's like the easiest starting point from where you can find like all the other parts of a sentence if you're looking at syntax and things like that. Syntax is just like sentence structure and how they're put together. Okay, so if I have a sentence that is the girl walked to school, then walked is the verb because that's the action. A subject, on the other hand, is the noun that's doing the verb, okay? And then you can parse it out into what's a simple subject, that's just the noun itself. A complete subject is the entire phrase that belongs to the noun. But it's basically whatever being, entity, person, animal is doing the verb. Okay? So in the girl walked to school, if walked is the verb, then the girl is the subject. Okay? Simple subject would just be girl. Girl walked, right? But the complete subject is the girl. Okay. So let's take a look at the second one. Love is complicated. Is this a complete sentence? Yeah, it's simple, but it's a complete sentence because I have a verb is, which is a state of being verb. So it's not like action directly in the same way that swimming is action, but being is an action, right? So is the verb, and love is the thing that is. Love is complicated. Okay. What about in this third sentence? Antigone argued with her uncle. What's the verb? What's the action? Okay, the action is argued. And we see that it's a verb that's in the past tense. Okay, the action is argued, then that means who argued? You find Antigone. Antigone is your subject. And if you ever, as long as you can find the verb, if you can say who or what verbed, then you can find the simple subject. So for instance, walked. Who or what walked? The girl. Is. Who or what is? Love. Argued. Who or what argued? Antigone. And that's how you find the subject and the verb in a sentence. And if you have those things and you express a complete thought, that's a simple sentence. So, the last thing that I want to point out here is that a simple sentence is also considered an independent clause. An independent clause just means that it is a group of words with a subject and a verb, okay, that can stand alone. In other words, the complete thought part of this equation. This means that it's an independent clause, okay? That's going to become more pertinent in our next discussion when we start talking about compound sentences, because then we're going to learn about how to join together two independent clauses in order to make a compound sentence, because that's what a compound sentence means.